Coming up on today's show, I am grunting and groaning because Nintendo absolutely crushed it in their Nintendo Direct, and we're talking about some other titles we saw at Summer Game Fest.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I am one of your hosts, Andrea Renee. Thank you for that warm, lovely welcome, Miss Brittany Brabacher.
The soft caress of compassion.
I don't know if that was quite what that was, but that's all right. Mrs. Rihanna Manuel-Peña is also here.
No, it wasn't.
I don't know if I was prepared for that, but I'm glad it happened.
You two are my gall darn favorite, don't you know it?
Gall darn.
Gall darn. Well, listen, I just spent a bunch of days back home in North Dakota visiting my family, saying goodbye to my grandmother. And so I've got my full North Dakota accent, just ingrained in me a little bit. I even got to pick up one of my favorite treats, which is the chocolate Twizzlers, which are impossible to find here in Los Angeles.
Oh, my goodness.
Twizzler.
If you've never had chocolate Twizzlers, they're delicious. It sounds gross, but it's really good.
It looks like a stringy turd, my love.
What? No, it looks like a Twizzler, but it's just more brown than red.
But it tastes like chocolate?
Like chocolate licorice?
Well, no, it doesn't taste like licorice at all. It just tastes like, I guess it does sound weird. It tastes like a gummy that's chocolate flavored. But it's delicious. I used to eat these after soccer practice in high school.
Aww.
And I don't know. Did I also buy a jumbo box of Little Debbie Star Crunches? I sure did. I sure did.
That's what you do when you're home. Stock up, baby.
There you go. You like it, I love it.
Exactly. Oh, and Rihanna reminded us, happy Juneteenth.
Yay! Well, if you're listening to this, it's a couple days behind. But still, celebrate, educate. We love celebration and education.
Absolutely. And my daughter is out of school today in honor of Juneteenth.
Oh. Nice.
I know that not many states here in the U.S. do that, but as Rihanna said, celebrate and educate. It's important, everybody. You know what else is important? Our wonderful supporters over at Supercast. That's what's good games at supercast.com. Thank you to our fantastic super friends over there, including our super producers, Faris Attieh, Punkdefied, Justin Foshee, and Joshua Franklin. We appreciate everybody who helps us out by supporting us at Supercast. You can get the show ad-free at what'sgoodgames.supercast.com. This week's show was also brought to you by BetterHelp, but I'll tell you more about that later. Because, oh my goodness, there was a new Nintendo Direct. We knew that they'd be talking to us sometime in June. They clearly wanted to wait until after Summer Game Fest Mania was done. And Brittany is already doing a little dance. Is it a little Zelda dance?
I don't know what this is, but it's the vibe. It's the energy. Yes, this energy riling up. Yeah, no, this was fantastic. It was probably the best Direct I can remember ever, maybe, for me personally. It hit all of the notes, touched all of those little sensitive nerves, if you will. Okay, that's getting weird. Yeah, so I'm not going to go through everything, obviously, because, oh my God, it was 40 minutes, and I felt like the pacing of this Direct, too, was just phenomenal. They never really got stuck on one title for more than what felt like a few minutes, and then boom, there's something next exciting, and just the pacing and the rundown of it was so good. So I'm just going to go through the stuff that got me the most hot and bothered, starting with The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. So we finally have our game, Friends and Family, where we get to play as the actual character in the title, Zelda. It's finally happening. And I loved all the jokes like, oh, should we now call it The Legend of Link? Fuck off. No, it's Zelda. So yeah, you're playing as Zelda in this brand new story. And so the idea is that these rifts are popping up and the citizens of Hyrule, including Link, are being sucked into them and going missing. So you are Zelda and finally you're like, I gotta do this shit myself. You know what I mean? Never leave a man to do a woman's job. So now you have a fairy companion named Tri, and you have this weapon now. Zelda has this weapon called the Tri-Rod. And what this can do is it can create what are called echoes whenever you like. But in order to create these echoes, you have to find the item first. So for example, if you find a table in the wild, you can use the Tri-Rod to scan the table, and now you have in your inventory a whole slew of different what are called echoes, and then you can summon your table whenever you want while you traverse the world or when you're in the middle of combat, you're trying to solve puzzles, etc., etc. We saw a bunch of other items she had in her inventory. So we had a box, we saw trees, sign, rocks, a clay pot, because of course there's always clay pots in Zelda games. We saw Zelda make a bridge out of beds, which is like cute and silly. When she came across enemies, she summoned a rock and threw it at enemies. At one point, she summoned a piece of food, and then that distracted 2 or 3 bad guys. And then she summoned like a plant monster, and the plant monster then ate the bad guys while they were like distracted by the food. So it looks like you can kind of really make this experience your own, and in terms of puzzle solving and traversal, just kind of get freaky with it, you know what I mean? It looks really cute, really fun. I mean, I love this style. It looks like a Link Between Link's Awakening, that really cute top-down 3D style that we got. When this trailer first played, I was like, oh man, is this like a Link to the Past or a twist on it? But then, yeah, as soon as Zelda stepped out, it was like this mindfuckery of like, this is so fucking awesome. And then it pans out over Hyrule. And what's interesting, if you look at this, Hyrule, the map looks very, very similar to a Link to the Past, but we do see a few different additions, like the Deku Tree, and you see Death Mountain. So it sounds like maybe they're just expanding on that map that we know and love so well. And if you're one of those fucking nerds that are all into like the Zelda timeline, ooh, there's like a million of them. I can't. It's too. I'm not smart enough for that. But a lot of folks are thinking this is the beginning to the downfall timeline. So, whatever. That's cool. Glad you guys are looking at that. It's not for me. Either way, very, very cute. And yeah, this is out in September. I thought we were gonna get a port of Wind Waker or something, but no, we're getting a whole ass new Zelda game, and I love it. I just love it so much. Ugh.
This was definitely unexpected for me too, but I think it's such a smart move on Nintendo's part to bridge between what they are doing in the more open world games of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and what the classic Zelda fans want, where that top dungeon crawler style. And I think this feels like a really like happy overlap.
Yeah, it's a great strategy. It kind of reminds me of Capcom and what they do with Resident Evil, obviously not in terms of quality, but how they're kind of like on the side making remakes, and then they're filling that in with brand new installments. So I think they found their groove here. I would absolutely be more. I love those little top-down Zelda games. They're so charming and so cute. And yay, Zelda! We have a playable game with Zelda. Like what?
Yay, woke game. We win.
Finally.
No, what I think is really interesting about this is obviously we have such an incredible level of innovation that we saw in Tears of the Kingdom with Ultra Hand and like all of the like new physics engine stuff that people made whole space programs with, which we talked about on the show before. Is very impressive and fun stuff. And they've kind of translated that innovation into, as you all said, this top-down 2.5D perspective. So I'm curious to see if there's like another twist like waiting in the wings with this title, because like they've been really adept at turning our expectations sort of on their heads. And I'm excited as a new Zelda fan. I'm excited to see what sort of twists and turns they have and surprises they got up their sleeves, because I suspect there's something else that we can be excited for.
You know what would be cool? Because in Link to the Past, you have the light world and you have the dark world, and all these people are falling into these dark ass rifts. So what if you eventually get to go into the dark world? That would be really cool. That'd be a fun little twist. But yeah, obviously, like, huge announcement. Very, very excited. We have another game coming out this November, and that is Mario and Luigi Brothership. Oh, those fan fiction AO3 folks are all sorts of excited about this, you fucking sickos.
Boy.
I know. Yeah, big yikes. So yeah, this is part of the Mario and Luigi series, and we haven't had a game in this little series in about 9 years. So we are due, friends. So yeah, you just play as Mario and Luigi, and you sail on what's called a ship shape island. But it's part ship, part island, and you explore this world called Concordia, whatever you want to call it. It's a world. You're exploring it on your island ship. And we don't know like too much about it, except for, you know, they're like, expect cities and expect forests. And obviously you see the platforming here, lots of fun colors. There's lots of tandem activities with Mario and Luigi's, like really cool stylish looking combat. And of course, appearances from some of your favorite Mario characters like Peach and Bowser, et cetera, et cetera. I've never played a Mario and Luigi game before because I believe they've all were on 3DS and handhelds. And that was just like, was never really my thing back in the day.
I don't even remember this franchise existing as part of like the overarching Mario universe, and I feel kind of bad about that, but also it's like there's so many to keep up with. But I really am enjoying the art style in this game and how it looks markedly different than everything else that they have.
Yeah,
I guess it's a little Paper
exciting.
Mario-y, right?
Right. And that's what I was thinking. You have like Paper Mario games, you have the Mario and Luigi games, you have the Super Mario RPG. So yeah, like I love this leaning into more RPG mechanics for Mario. I think it's obviously a perfect IP for it. So it's very cute. I'm very excited to play it. Yeah, y'all, I thought we were going to be coasting through the rest of this year. Sure, we got Veilguard and I have Kingdom Come Deliverance and Metaphor and some other stuff, but like Nintendo just slapped their big old red schlong on the table, like Xbox, and they're like, here you go, motherfucker. Hope you're ready. It's like, I'm not.
Oh, did you think we weren't releasing any games this year? You're wrong. We're releasing 1,000 games.
Man, that's what's such a good fucking direct. Okay, I gotta stop dropping the F-bomb, but I'm so excited. Okay, the next game that's also coming out this year is in October, and that is Super Mario Party Jamboree, which I was very surprised by. I know everyone had been talking about a Mario Party game. Everyone was sick of the boards and the last one, whatever. Maybe thought it could be a Switch 2 title, but nay, friends, it's coming out in October. So what's cool about this one is you have 5 new game boards, and the game boards themselves look really cool. There's one that looks like a shopping mall. There's something called the Goomba Lagoon, and you have King Bowser's Keep. And looks like there's lots of interesting mechanics with it. So like in the lagoon, the water will ebb and flow, and that'll change the way you can move around the map. And they're also bringing back 2 boards from the older Mario Party games as well. Over 110 mini games, which is like, oh my God, right? And that's the most in any Mario Party game. And there's a bunch of modes. Well, I don't want to say a bunch. We know of one they announced, and then at the end they tease that there's more modes that they haven't announced. But Koopalathon or Koopathlon or I don't know how, it's really weird. So it's Koopa, Thlon, like marathon, but Koopathlon. Koopathlon.
T-H-L.
Hold on, I got a
Koopathlon?
Let me see if I can pull it.
Koopathlon. Yes, Reed, that's it. Koopathlon. God damn, thank you, baby. That's it.
Koopathlon.
Literally, that's how they pronounce it in the trailer, and I couldn't remember. So this is a new mode, and so what this allows you to do is play up with up to 20 people online and competing in different mini games. So I mean, brilliant, right? I think that's a really smart idea. So you got to try to come out on top, baby. That's the new Mario Party game, which is like, oh my God, it's
That's
happening.
cute.
I feel like we did good on our 8-ball predictions with Nintendo's.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to do a little recap of that.
Yeah. And you thought that was it. Nay, motherfuckers, it's not. Because we got Dragon Quest 3 HD-2D Remake, which is just like a mouthful, but like whatever. I'll talk more about this in hands-on because I got to play it at Summer Game Fest. But this is also coming out in November. Granted, it's also coming out on other platforms as well, but this game just looks absolutely beautiful and stunning. It's a remake of the 1988 game, I believe is what it was. Actually, yeah, this game is only 3 months older than me, so, whatever. But they're remaking it, so it looks beautiful and gorgeous, and I'll definitely talk more about that. That was an absolute highlight. Square Enix also announced that they're remaking Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven, coming out in October. And then they announced that Fantasian, which is an Apple arcade game, or I don't know if it's arcade, but it came out on Apple, that came out in 2021, is releasing now on console with some new quality of life features and blah, blah, blah. And this is from the father of Final Fantasy and the composer, Nobuo Uematsu. So insane. Square just crushing it. Fucking crushing it. Too bad you didn't announce my Final Fantasy IX Remake, Square. I'll never forgive you for that, but it's fine.
Hey, it's still not too late, right?
It's not. I have 2 more big ones. Obviously, we saw Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. This is not coming out until January of 2025, but this was, if anything was going to be announced from Donkey Kong, this was the thing that was expected, right? Switch hasn't gotten a Donkey Kong game, an original Donkey Kong, or a port of anything.
It's a bummer. I mean, you're right that it's expected. I appreciate that you use that word, but it's disappointing to me that they aren't at least teasing or talking about what's coming next, but not unexpected.
Yeah. But what's cool too about this one is you have all the 80 levels from the original, and then I think there's 8 levels that were on the 3DS version that are now being brought over. So think of it as a cool definitive edition. I mean, I love these games, but like you said, Andrea, I would love something a little new and different, but hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just keep making that money, honey.
Why not,
and then
right?
I think the big one that got a lot of folks hot and bothered, except for me because I didn't know really what I was looking for, but I pulled Twitter about it, is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And so we got some gameplay. We got a very vague release date of 2025. So after over 7 years of its announcement, ladies, we finally have a little actual some gameplay to look at and a release date. So I watched this and I'm like, okay, cool. Someone who's never played Metroid, I don't know. Where do y'all stand on Metroid?
I'm not a Metroid person either. I think that it's a little sad for me when I look back at some of the most iconic female protagonists in video games. Obviously, Samus is up there among them, but a lot of the style of a Metroid game, one of the namesakes of Metroidvanias, right, is that going back, that puzzle element, and that's just nothing that really scratched itches for me personally as a gamer, especially back then, like in my early days, like middle school, high school, and beyond. Like I was just never really into those kinds of games. I'm definitely more interested in them now as an adult over 20 years later. So I'm like more excited about this, especially since it's not the typical 2D side scroller. It's a 3D game, which, you know, we're seeing in the gameplay from the trailer that they revealed. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It looks cool and I'm glad that people are happy. It's definitely overdue, right? Overdue.
Mm-hmm. How do you agree?
Similar spaces as Andrea. I wasn't super into Metroid growing up. I was a Nintendo kid, but for some reason this one just missed me. So I have no idea of what to expect, but it looks cool. And, you know, HUD Hunters, I was happy to see that we got a heads-up display. And it looks like it's a real game. Really pretty. And, you know, Scott, like for me, the closest facsimile I can think of is Halo. What it looks like, and obviously one of my favorite franchises of all time. So I'm into it. I'm excited for this one. This might be the one that makes me pick up my Switch again.
Ooh,
it does look a lot like Halo. Not in a 2025 kind of way, to be quite frank.
No.
No.
So
like a Combat Evolved kind of way.
So that's that, you know, but
Yeah.
I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum here in that regard. I can just say, hey, this is just not for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I asked Twitter, I was like, is there anything that y'all got from this other than gameplay and a release date? And overall, I would say like the general consensus was it looks really good. They're excited about seeing the blue guy who blasted the hole in the wall. I guess his name's like Silex or something. And he was hinted to be the main antagonist. So seeing him was a pretty cool reveal. And there's a lot of discourse about could that have been running on Switch too? Oh my God. So Digital Foundry kind of deep dived into it, and what they said is, quote, it's looking great and there are a couple of nice effects in there we took a closer look at, but ultimately all the evidence points to this game is running on the original Switch.
All right, well, there you have it.
Yeah, that was the thing that was missing that we thought we were going to get in this Nintendo Direct, right? I think we all were like, okay, where's the announcement of the new hardware? Where is it?
So
and
they did say there was not going to be any hardware announcement.
Yes.
But before they said that,
though.
I was definitely like, okay, here it is. Here's where I figure out how much I need to budget between now and November.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think like that's, like you said, before the announcement, it was like, ooh, what's the thing? Oh, wait, never mind. Just
it's
kidding.
not happening.
We'll wait. We'll keep waiting.
Announce your handhelds, you cowards. I know. Looking at you too, Xbox.
Xbox is not going to announce a handheld.
Please.
Better. I'm with you, Ree. I'm
They're
on
not
team Ree
gonna.
for this one.
I want it.
They're not gonna
want
though. Look at
want
how
it.
Daddy Microsoft has already put the reins on Microsoft Gaming. You know what they're not gonna do is do $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar R&D gamble on a handheld for a software library that's already not performing. They're not gonna do it.
They have at least one customer.
That's
I
a build
have
up
to,
from
Ree.
there.
I am 100% with you, Ree. I'm going to hold on to the hope. And when it happens, you and I can do a midnight launch, and we can actually, no, we'll demand that Jeff sends us a review copy.
I think that there's a possibility or a door potentially open a little bit for like a partnership. Like, hey, we're partnering with Logitech to like rebrand the handheld, the cloud gaming handheld that Logitech put out last year or the year before now, and make that like the Xbox cloud handheld. Or there's like several other hardware companies that have made cloud handhelds, and I think that they could like, you know, slap a green Xbox logo on that, but I don't anticipate us getting like a PlayStation, you know, portal kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm with you, baby Ree. You and I, babe. We'll get shirts. We'll
keep the
get our
dream
torches
alive.
and our pitchforks.
You keep the. I'm not saying I wouldn't want it. I'm just saying it's not happening. It's just not coming.
Will into existence.
Okay,
Yeah,
will it
I
into
will.
existence, baby girls. You do
Let's
it.
manifest it.
And I just need to talk about one more Brit-ass game
Yes.
that I saw, and I was like, hey. So I think it's called Farmagia. It's
Okay,
weird.
so this one had so many like pseudo Italian words in it. I was so confused.
Girl, I don't know. I even watched the trailer, and I think they pronounced it, but it's like Coubathlon or whatever. I don't know. It's the farming game.
You know what it looks like? It looks like fromage. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Parmesan. I'm gonna start calling it
Parmigiano.
It's Parmesan. Oh Lord. Okay, so Parmesan is this new game that's coming out. It's from Marvelous, and 2 weeks ago, Marvelous had their own showcase. And we got to see the 4 main characters in that one, which is so cool because they're designed by Hiro Mashima, who is the creator of one of my all-time favorite animes and manga, Fairy Tail. That's why the characters look so good. But anywho, so the idea of this is that you get to raise your monster army because you live in a realm of monsters, and you have a specific name, like Parmesan cheese farmer. I don't fucking know what it's called, but that's what you do. And you have to rise against the oppressive maggots to stop his vicious realm of the underworld. Rah, some cheesy. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But you play as this guy named 10, and what you have to do is raise monsters and again fight against the army. But how do you raise these monsters, you might ask? Well, you plant them into seeds into the ground, and you cultivate these seeds.
I was gonna say, like, did I just see a fox sprout out of the ground?
Yes, out of corn, my love. Well, yeah, there's that too. Yeah. So, you plant seeds, you nurture them, you care for them, you do whatever you got to do to them, and one day out pops a fucking monster friend. It might look like corn. You're like, oh yeah, I'm corn on the cob tonight. Oh no, you're getting a wolf, and you train.
This is a weird.
love
this is
it.
a weird one. It's definitely a Brit ass game. It's like Stardew Valley meets Pokemon meets Dynasty Warriors.
Yes, and I have my notes, Dynasty Warriors vibes. Exactly. Oh, I'm so excited. This is the weirdest mashup of genres, and I need it right now. I am so thrilled. And it's coming out November 1st. So Parmesan cheese. It looks so good.
Fromage, yeah. You gotta do the Italian like handshake.
Oh my god.
Wow. That is a Japanese ass game right there.
Oh, so good. So good.
Well, this was a really fun direct. Like a lot of really awesome news out of Nintendo. Very on brand Nintendo games, and looks like they're gonna have another banger of a year.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just can't get over it again. Like, I thought this year would be coasting, and then I did not expect the new Mario Luigi. I did not expect a new Zelda game, a Donkey Kong announcement. Donkey Kong, yeah, okay, sure. But even Mario Party, and we didn't even go through, I feel like 90% of the announcements in here.
There was a lot of partner announcements, too.
Yeah.
We saw some new reveals. A lot of things that we learned at Summer Game Fest, like they finally revealed the new Tales of the Shire gameplay, which I'm going to talk about in hands-on, which I got to play at Summer Game Fest, and there was DLC for Disney Illusion Islands, and there was also a bunch of other things like the Lego Horizon Adventures announced trailer, things like that.
Ooh, the fighting game, Marvel vs. Capcom, that one.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
the compilation.
That's right.
Yep.
There's a lot of fun things coming, so they're just trying to really cement Switch as the definitive console for people to buy. So.
Oh, shit.
But give us the new one.
We want the new Switch, please. Thank you. We do.
Awesome. All right, that is going to do it for our featured news segment of the week. When we come back, we'll have just a couple quick headlines to talk about. Some ridiculous bananigans are happening. That almost worked. Here's some ads, everybody. And don't forget. Always remember, if you don't want to listen to those ads, What's Good Games at supercast.com. This episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by BetterHelp. Summer is finally here, and that means touching grass and feeling some sun on your face. It also means the year is halfway over already. I know, stressful, right? How are your goals coming along this year? If they aren't where you'd like them to be, then maybe it's time you talk to someone about them. Now, if you're thinking of starting therapy as a way to help you reach those goals, give BetterHelp a try. Perhaps you want to work on coping strategies, or maybe you want to explore ways to increase self-awareness. Therapy isn't just for emotional support when times are tough, though therapists can offer that too. Therapy can enhance your interpersonal skills and your ability to communicate. It can lead to healthier and more fulfilling relationships by teaching you how to address conflicts, set boundaries, and learn how to express your needs assertively. You can get started today because it's entirely online. Convenient, right? It's designed to be that way, flexible and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. So take a moment, take a breath, and when you're done with that, maybe you want to visit betterhelp.com/whatsgoodgames today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/whatsgoodgames. Let's get into this week's headlines. Even though we didn't see it at the Ubisoft Forward, we're apparently getting some info on Beyond Good and Evil this week. By the time you're listening to this podcast, that news will have already been out. Earlier this week, Limited Run Games and the official Beyond Good and Evil Twitter account, or the app formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, said that they're going to be announcing some news. Starting last November in 2023, the official Beyond Good and Evil account said that they would be having details in early 2024 about the 20th anniversary edition of the game. Though if you're keeping score like I am, we're beyond the 20th anniversary by now, and we're past it. This has now become the game with the record for the longest development cycle, beating out Duke Nukem Forever.
Wow.
And I'm definitely concerned because that game didn't turn out so great.
Dang.
What will they be announcing at the Limited Run Game Showcase? Well, you already know, and we'll find out soon.
So wait, like Half-Life would be like technically the only one that could potentially beat it at this point.
Well, yes and no, because they've never announced Half-Life 3.
Okay, fair.
So this game was officially announced, and they've given an update on it. And now, we're talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2, by the way. This is just for the Beyond Good and Evil remaster, which I think is absolutely overdue, too, because I've played the backwards compatibility version, and it wasn't great. It was fine. So would like to definitely see what they're doing here, and who knows, maybe we'll see some cool stuff. But again, this is a remaster, not a remake. So very different in terms of them adding new content, new gameplay, new substantial art changes, things like that.
It's like, excuse the yawn, but why?
It's a snoozer of a news story for sure.
It's just, I don't understand it, and I have so many questions, but I don't have the mental capacity to care enough. But why wasn't this at the Ubisoft press conference? If there is something,
that
why
is
limited runs
a
game?
great question. I have no idea why they would not at least tease this to say, hey, our pals at Limited Run Games are doing a showcase in a week, in 2 weeks, or whatever the math is, and here's a little teaser. It is a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, we saw plenty of examples of that where it's like, hey, you'll hear more later, but here's a taste of what we have to tell you. And that has been working. People have been excited. That news has kind of risen to the top of the Summer Game Fest soup, and people have next things to be looking out for. So yeah, that probably would have been a better strategy.
Yeah. But they didn't ask us, did they? But you know what? That's okay, because there's more fun news to get to. That's right, ladies. Everyone is going bananas for banana. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. It was right there. I had to do it. So this is a really funny story. Normally, this is kind of news we wouldn't talk about, but I have a soft spot for clicker games.
Bananas.
Well,
Bananas.
And bananas. I like
Benandria Renee.
Yes. The gift that keeps on giving.
That was your thing.
Yes,
wasn't
Cookie
it?
Clicker was my jam. I spent a lot of time playing Cookie Clicker. All right, everybody, move over. Baldur's Gate 3 and Hogwarts Legacy. It's banana time. Idle clicker game Banana has officially gone viral on Steam, cracking the top 10 most popular games per concurrent players. That's right, everybody. It's currently in 9th place with over 884,000 concurrent players. Just keep that in mind. These are the amount of people who are playing all at the same time.
What the fuck?
It is a clicker game, though, so I imagine a lot of people just have it open and aren't really paying attention to it. It's creeping up to the 8th place holder, New World, which has a peak of over 913,000 players. So why exactly is everyone going bananas for a banana, you might be asking? Well, first of all, it's free. That always helps. Love a good free game. But you can also make money from it by just clicking a banana. So in case you guys were wondering out there, if you're listening and watching the show, what is this game? It's literally just a giant banana on screen that you click. That's it. It's just a banana, and you click it. And then every 3 hours, a banana drops down. And it's either a really cool, rare banana, or it's like a basic bitch banana. Those bananas can then be sold on the Steam marketplace, which is why this has gained incredible popularity so quickly.
This
Now-
is like an NFT. Why would anyone want to buy a banana?
So it's not like an NFT, and I'm going to tell you why. So most of them are not worth much, literally pennies, but some of the rare drops can sell for hundreds or more. I believe the most expensive rare banana has gone for $1,000, which for a free game, I mean, you are putting in time, right? You have the time commitment. So time isn't free. Time is money. One of Banana's developers told Polygon that it's a legal, quote, infinite money glitch where users make money out of a free game while selling virtual items. Sounds like a scam, right? Sure does. But after the internet sleuths called out that a previous team member was involved in a Bitcoin scam on the Steam market, so not too far off, Britt. The developers of the current version of the game took to their Discord to insist it is, in fact, not a scam and that they scrubbed those rotten bananas from the game's inventory and there are no more weird bananigans. That's the word I used earlier. Bananigans going on.
I'm more confused now than when I was. So, okay, so you click on a banana and then every 3 hours you click on a new banana?
It's the same banana. So it's like a persistent banana and you can click on it as much as you want. Have you ever played an idle clicker game?
No.
Okay. So
It's okay.
No, it's okay. I think the reason why you're having trouble understanding it because it's so simple, it's so basic that you're like, wait, what else is there? And I'm here to tell you there's nothing else. It's literally just a banana and you click it with your mouse and that's it. That's the
Does
game.
the banana like react to my clicks?
Yeah, it has like a little
jiggles?
like a little animation, but nothing fancy.
Ooh. Oh, like a jiggle animation. Okay. Boob clicker game.
But at least with Cookie Clicker, there was a lot more going on. There was a deep narrative. There was a lot of upgrades. You could, don't get me started on Cookie Clicker. Okay.
I'm watching the Steam video, y'all, and it's just like literally an olive green background-ish with a ripe, delicious-looking banana. And the person is just clicking on it, and then the little number just goes up the more the person clicks on it.
The number goes up.
There's a click counter. Yes.
And then you'll randomly get an expensive banana.
Yeah, well, you'll get a drop into your Steam inventory. And so the reason why they're not NFTs is because they're not individual tokens. So you don't like own that. I mean, I guess technically you own it as like a digital marketplace item, but a lot of the rules around NFT ownership are very different than just digital items. And you have to really get deep into the EULA of Steam in order to fully understand it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to explain that to anybody who's listening. Please go on that Google rabbit hole search on your own if you want to discover the intricacies of that. But that's why this is really popular right now is because they have these items that you can then sell. But the only reason why they're worth anything is because people want to buy them. Like Counter-Strike skins, right? Those skins are only worth anything if somebody wants to buy it, but if nobody wants to buy it, there's nowhere else you can sell that skin. Does that make sense? It's not like you can take that skin and bring it to other games and play it. That's the whole idea of an NFT is that you should be able to take like the digital item that you have and be able to use it across multiple marketplaces or multiple platforms. At least that's the dream for the NFT, by the way. Not quite fully realized yet, but that was the whole idea behind NFTs. But this is a different thing because it's only tied to this one marketplace.
The user tags, psychological horror.
That seems accurate.
So if you don't know, that's fine. I think my last question is, why would you continuously click on it? What's the benefit of just sitting there clicking on it? Is there a benefit?
Satisfaction.
Oh, okay. So you are just clicking for the sake of watching that number go up. There's maybe no reward for clicking.
That's correct.
I thought I understood everything about humanity, and now I'm just like...
I think when you talk about interactive mediums like video games, explaining why a specific type of game is appealing or satisfying to a specific player can be a very nuanced and difficult discussion because art is incredibly subjective. And some people think banana is very satisfying art and gameplay. And other people, like Brittany, clearly do not.
You do you, man. I whatever. I want to learn. Not shitting on anyone's banana.
No.
I would say if you are truly interested in learning about the idle clicker genre of games, there are way more better examples like Cookie Clicker, that would give you a more accurate idea of what the genre is about and why some people, in fact, millions of people, according to this story, over 884,000 people all at the same time are playing this game.
Fascinating.
A yum for enough people.
Yes, but I do want to make the caveat that in one of the stories that I read that there is a concern about a large percentage of these concurrent players being bots because you can have multiple accounts. And so if you want to really farm it, you could have multiple accounts running the game simultaneously because it takes up a very small percentage of your PC power. So you could have quite a few instances of the game running at the same time to try to find those rare drops that sell for more. But again, once this game is no longer the hotness, the market for those bananas is going to go way down.
Yeah. Fascinating. This is a good story to throw in there.
Yeah.
Just, you don't hear about shit like this all that often.
No, you really don't. It's a weird one, but I thought it was funny because we've had so many of these off the beaten path viral moments in video games this year, and I thought it was so interesting that Jeff Keighley called out on stage the top 10 games on Steam and how they're all very non-traditional games. And I think about a game like Pal World or even like Helldivers 2 and how they got so big so quickly because of viral moments like this. And now this game Banana is like, well, what are the developers actually making? What kind of money are they making off of this? And it's like, I don't know because it's a free game. So
Are there ads?
I haven't played it myself, so I cannot answer that question.
Okay.
Ah.
Yeah.
But they do get a percentage when the bananas are sold on the marketplace.
Oh, they're brilliant. They're making probably so much money.
I mean, yeah.
you have that many
Steam
people
is definitely
playing.
making money off of it,
Yeah.
so
Hey.
Yeah. Give the people what they want.
Hey, man. What's the thing? Why did I think of this? Why did we think of this?
You didn't think like 900,000 people would want to stroke a banana in a virtual world?
I mean, now that you say it like that, I feel like that's low hanging fruit. Right?
Stop it!
Straight to jail. Straight to pun jail.
Go.
You started it.
I did.
Bananigans, everybody.
Oh,
What a
Lord.
joyous story. I love this.
Yeah.
There's definitely no more fun headlines we could do after that. We have some fun video games to talk about, some more of that rolling embargo action from Summer Game Fest. Stick with us, everybody. We'll be right back. Let's get into what we've been playing, and we've got a lot more preview action from Summer Game Fest. Britt, I know that you were very excited about this one. You obviously already alluded to it during the Nintendo Direct news segment. Dragon Quest III HD-2D Remake.
Ooh, that's a
Did I get all of the words right?
You crushed it, darling. You fucking crushed it. Yes. So this bad boy is coming out, like I said earlier, in November. And at Summer Game Fest, I got to play it for about 45 minutes to an hour or so. So yeah, like I said earlier, this game released in 1988, excuse me. So it's very, very old. So what you should know about Dragon Quest 1 through 3 is that it is part of something called the Erdrick trilogy. And 3 is chronologically the first installment. So, like, if you're going to play any game first in this 1 through 3, you're going to want to play 3. And that is why, friends, we are getting 3 first. And they announced 1 and 2 coming at a later date next year. And then we'll get those. So, I'm really glad this exists because as someone who's played, I've played 7, 8, and 11, Dragon Quest, 7, 8, and 11. I've always wanted to go back to the other ones, but I mean, old game is old, and even I have a threshold for the point where I'm like, okay, maybe this is just a little too much for me. But going hands on with this, it's everything I would want from an HD 2D remake of a game that's like this iconic yet this old, right? So you have new features. What's really cool is that you're getting additional narrative in this game under the guidance of the original designer Yuji Horii. So they are adding new dialogue, new story elements, a whole bunch of new stuff to it in that sense. So like that alone is just really freaking cool. And then when it comes to the more grindy parts, so you have adjustable battle speed this time around, and it can go real fast, which is really nice. And I definitely had my battle speed up because this is an old school RPG, so you will be doing a lot of grinding. There are more battle features that are incorporated into this that were in some of the later games, like tactics now. So you can just hopefully set your tactics right, and then zip, 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 you'll get right through everything and defeat all the enemies real quick. Like you have auto saves, fantastic. You can save at churches now, like the newer games. And the score has been completely redone by the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony, and it is just, oh my god, it's like sex for the ears. It is just gorgeous. Gorgeous music. Okay, so the first thing I noticed when I started playing this is like, goddamn, hot damn, this game is beautiful and stunning. In fact, I think it's kind of solidified the HD-2D remake style as maybe my favorite aesthetic in gaming. It is just so beautiful, and it lends itself so well to this like this old RPG, right? Because like it's like you're in there, and I think if they had remade it in like very realistic graphics, it wouldn't have felt as magical. But when you have this HD-2D remake, it has that joy and that charm of being a retro video game, yet it feels new. And it is just, you have the water glistening, you have like these mist effects in the background, and the character models look so good. And I mean, I just was in awe of how beautiful this game is. Obviously, we've seen this in Octopath Traveler and Live Alive, Live a Live, whatever the hell it's called. So we've seen it before, but it is just like absolutely radiant and just beyond gorgeous in this remake. So very, very cool. The music, I talked about this. So it's really awesome because the music is just beautiful and stunning in your ears, right? But then you have these iconic chimes from the original game. So like the battle music, the battle chimes, the victory chimes, even when you're in the menu and you're hearing like this like the do that totally did not sound like it at all. I fucking butchered it. At one point when I was in the overworld, I hope Ryan or Chad didn't see me. I literally just like put the controller in my lap and I just closed my eyes and I just vibed to the overworld music because it just sounded so good. And they were probably like, "Oh, you're being weird." It's like, "Yes, I am. Hello, my name is Brittany. I've always been weird." So the music and the graphics, all of that looks absolutely like you can't get it any better than what it is. So what I got to do in my game is I got to walk around the very first town. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's called like Eliahan. I don't know. Why did I say it like that? Eliahan. Anywho, it's your typical old town, right? You have all these buildings, you have these NPCs wandering around saying absolute nonsense, but they're still fun to talk to. And I pulled a rookie mistake, ladies, and what I did is I did what they tell you not to do. So when you start a demo like this, for those that you don't know, they're like, okay, so we know you're going to want to get distracted and we know you're going to want to go like see and do these things, but like try to stay focused and do this one thing. And poor Chad, who did such a great job at laying the groundwork, and I completely ignored it. It went through one ear out the other. I ended up grinding. I ended up finding secrets in the overworld. I ended up going into like caves and trees and stuff and like finding better armor and weapons and getting like super strong and grinding. And then by the time it was like for me to leave, I hadn't even done the first basic task that they assigned us to do. But I think that is a testament to how much I loved playing this game and just being lost in it and how good it made me feel. So like, sorry, but also like, sometimes I like to play the game how I'm actually going to play the game, and just wandering around and grinding and listening to the iconic music remastered and the chimes there. It's like, oh, this is how I want to experience this game for the first time. It just felt so nostalgic yet so modern. To a point, obviously, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. In the combat, so this is what's interesting about these games. It's like they're not necessarily easy, and despite them being an RPG, it can get kind of grindy. At least that's been my experience with the Dragon Quest games. You can grind, you can become a god, of course you can, but I didn't have enough time to do that. So you have to be really smart with how you do tactics in this game. So you have spells and you have abilities and you have like your very, very distinct classes of characters. You have to make sure that you're making them do all the things that they're supposed to do. Otherwise, you are going to be in a world of hurt, friends. But they do have tactics this time around, which is really nice. And so I do appreciate that it still has that Dragon Quest level of difficulty to it. So I don't know if they were actual different modes for difficulty, but either way, like, I got my ass kicked a few times, but I never died. I will say I never died. I survived because I am a video game god over here. What I will say, though, about the only concern I have from what I've played so far, and legit, this is like the only one, is when I think about a game that's very old being brought into modern times, a lot of us are older now, and a lot of us just don't have the time to grind like we used to, and we don't have the patience like we used to for that sort of thing. Of course, like grinding in video games can be therapeutic, and it can be like, oh, this is so nice. But when you have kids and stuff, it just kind of changes everything. So when I think about like games that have been ported over recently, I think about Final Fantasy IX that was brought over to the Switch and other platforms, and that game came with like 7 different boosters, right? So you can do easy money, easy XP, you can do extra fast mode, you can do a whole bunch of different stuff. You can do like essentially a god mode, so every attack you do is going to do like 10,000 damage, which is like a lot. But what that mode also had, or what Final Fantasy IX also has, is a turn off random encounter mode. And from my understanding is that this game does not have that. And the encounters aren't egregious, but they are there. And there was a point when I was trying to do like the task I was assigned to do and climb this tower and get to the top, but I kept getting stopped. And because I couldn't grind enough to get super powerful or whatnot, it just wasn't like I could just zip through the battles, right? I had to be strategic with it. And so that kind of threw off the vibes I was getting, because before I was like, oh, this is nostalgic and this is good, I'm killing slimes. And then when you get to some of the more difficult spots, it's like, oh, here we go again. Oh, I don't want to stop. Like I'm chasing that dopamine of like, I want to get to the top of this tower, but I keep getting stopped along the way. So I do wish there was a way to turn off the random encounters, or even just give us a way to like level up faster.
It just feels like these kinds of remakes have that all built in, and Square has done it in so many of their other games. It's a really like, why did you make this decision kind of a thing.
Yeah, and I don't know, and I wish I would have asked that. But I think
why did you make your game the way you did? That definitely feels like something I would ask.
I'd be curious.
Really awkwardly.
Yeah, I mean, like I get wanting to bring over an old game for the first time, and like for a modern audience, that's the whole point of this remake, right? Is to introduce it to like today's audience that might have missed out on it. But like there are very rarely games that release now that have that like serious grind to it. And maybe once I play more of it, get more than 45 minutes, I'll be able to be like, oh, it's really not so bad. It was just that beginning area. But we'll see. But other than that, like, my God, y'all, like beautiful, like it's eye candy. The music is just stunning. Again, like I think the thing I want to drive home is it feels like you're playing a retro experience for the first time, but for the modern age. And I think that's a really hard line to straddle, so it still feels like fun and unique and brand new, and it has that Dragon Quest charm to it. So I'm really happy this exists. I'm hoping a lot of folks will get into the series now, especially those first 3, because I think that's one that a lot of us didn't get to play, because like old game is old, and now we can, and that makes me very happy.
Old game is old.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? Well, a game we saw together at Summer Game Fest that also had an appearance in the Nintendo Direct earlier this week is Tales of the Shire, The Lord of the Rings. When this game was originally announced, I was like, it feels like the perfect Venn diagram overlap of cozy game and Lord of the Rings for Andrea Renee. And after having seen it, I think it's there mostly. But there was definitely some things that I need to see more of and kind of see more of the gameplay loops to figure out, like, is this going to have the hook, the gameplay hook in me for me to keep coming back? So let me show the trailer that was in the Nintendo Direct earlier this week. And big thank you to Private Division for letting me come and play this at Summer Game Fest. And Brittany was there too. Did you? I can't remember. Did you play too? No, you just watched me play, right?
I drilled the gentleman next to us with questions.
Yes, lots of questions. So you play as a hobbit, and you are in a little hobbit village, and you are trying to get your village established so that it can be formally recognized in Hobbiton, and you do little cozy hobbity things all day. You have a garden where you grow plants, you forage things like flowers and butterflies. You, of course, cook a lot of meals. Cooking is a big element of this game. And the different types of meals that you cook will have different impacts on the people that you cook them for. There is a social aspect to this game as well, where you can invite people over for dinner, and then you have to cook them a specific thing in order to make them feel happy. You can technically like cook them anything, but it's sort of like friends or villagers on your Animal Crossing island where, you can just give them a random gift, but if you give them something specific, they'll have a different interaction with you. And so it's kind of that same element here with the cooking system. And the game also has a bunch of other cozy life sim game elements. You can dress up and customize your Hobbit however you want. There's a whole kind of create a character system. You can also customize your Hobbit hole where you live, and you'll have to do upgrades on it. You can pick the flooring and the curtains and the color of the front door and all that stuff that goes into decorating the place where you live. And there is also a quest system called Tales, hence the name, Tales of the Shire. And that quest system will take you on various adventures, and you'll get to meet various characters, most of whom you won't recognize or know, but some of which you will. We saw, of course, the tall wizard at the end of the gameplay trailer that they announced, and that, yes, indeed, that is Gandalf. And so we'll have a run-in with him for sure. So it looks really cool. I'm just a little bit like, I don't know, it just feels like it's missing a little something for me.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I think it looks adorable, and it's cozy as hell. Like, there's no pressure in this game. There's no time limits. Like, I was asking these specific questions, and it's like, nah, man, you just fire it up to feel cozy. And I think that for me, as someone who's not particularly interested in Lord of the Rings or like hairy-feeted Hobbit folk, I'm like, well, I mean, it's cool, but like, what am I trying to do here? You know, in Stardew Valley, you know, you try to restore the community center, and that takes you a couple seasons to get through everything, or one if you're really good. There's always a goal that you're trying to get to. And with this one, it doesn't really sound like there's a goal. It's just kind of like, yo, just like exist in your little Hobbit hole, make your friends, invite people over, cook some meals, and relax and unwind, explore the world, collect stuff. And I mean, that's great. I know there's a whole huge audience of folks that love that sort of thing. I just don't know for me if there's anything here that's going to compel me to play this as opposed to like working on my Stardew Valley save or something. But I mean, it did make you feel cozy. I will say that. Very warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, I think there's also something about the movement around the world that didn't quite feel as comfortable for me. And you know, those little mechanics, when you talk about a game where the loop is pretty simple, it really needs to be, the mechanics need to feel like tight. They need to feel smooth. You want everything to really flow well. And there was just a couple things where, and to be fair, this game is not out yet. This is not the final build of the game. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to be real with y'all. I really didn't like the movement mechanic of the hobbits in the world. No. And I'm going to show some gameplay of it so you guys can take a look. So when you're watching the hobbits walk through the world, and there's no sprinting, there's skipping, but the hobbits all have this like lean back effect where like they almost have like their bellies out, like they're walking with their shoulders really far back and their stomachs really far forward. And I don't understand why the developers made that choice. And I asked the person who was doing our demo, I was like, you know, why does it look like he's leaning back all the time? And, you know, he kind of made a joke about, oh, well, they're always eating. And so, you know, when your stomach is full, you always like push it out. I go, I don't do that. Do you do that? I mean, it's okay if you do, like no judgment. But the idea that every single hobbit in this world runs with their shoulders back and their stomach all the way out was just kind of a weird visual choice that I didn't understand. And that's clearly me being a little nitpicky on something. But I mean, when you see a game like this that is in a genre that has a lot of competition and a lot of steep competition from really established brands and IPs, and you're using a really beloved IP like the Lord of the Rings, I mean, there's a lot of expectation, at least from me as somebody who likes both of those things a lot individually. You know, put it together, it's like, oh my gosh, this feels like it's tailor-made for me. And I just kind of wanted it to feel a little bit better. And the cooking mechanic, which it feels like is a big element of the gameplay loop, also didn't quite feel as fleshed out as I really would have liked it to have been. I'm going to show a little bit more of that gameplay here with the cooking loop. So there's a really complex system of recipes, like a lot of these life sim games has. But there's a mechanic with chopping, and there's this little graphic in the bottom corner that has like a graph, a top, a bottom, a left, and a right, smooth to chunky, crisp to tender. And you have to get your ingredients in the right section of chunky to smooth and then crisp to tender. But the way that it's communicated with the UX and the UI in the game, I thought was a little confusing. And maybe it's just a learning curve thing, but I just wanted that cooking element to be a little bit more robust than it was. And so it left me feeling a little flat.
Yeah. I agree with everything you're saying. I think if I can speak bluntly and openly here, it kind of feels like someone was like, yo, Lord of the Rings, Hobbits, Hobbit hole, that would make for a cozy game. So let's just rely on a cozy gameplay loop that has been done over and over and over again. Not really add a lot of Lord of the Rings flavor to it, but that should be enough to hook the Lord of the Rings audience. There's no appeal to this for me again as someone outside. Like I if there was maybe some like Lord of the Rings like lore in here, there's no romance by the way, which is like fine, they're hobbits, I get that. Yeah, I mean it's just like I've seen this game a million times. And that's not a dig at anyone or anything. I know development cycles are hard and maybe there's not enough time to incorporate like a robust narrative or like a goal into this. But I think if there was one for me, I would be more interested. But yeah. It's fine. We've seen it.
It is. And like I was talking to Elise about this, Elise Willems, and she was like, I think it looks so cute. I go, I think it looks so cute too. Like, I don't think like this is a bad game by any means. I just don't think it's an impactful game either. I think it's a fine game.
Yeah. That's sometimes that's all it needs to be.
Yeah. So I do want to see more of it. So I intend to check out more when I can. And I'll give y'all an update. Hobbits, y'all.
Hobbits, their feet. I did ask if you can like shave their feet, and the guy was I don't think so. It's so disturbing.
Okay.
But it's part of the hobbits. They all have the big hairy feet.
But I'm an outsider, yo, and it's like these hairs are. It's like bushes of hairs on their feet, like literal ecosystems of bushery.
It's a lot. It's a lot of hair for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ree, which of these games would you like to talk about?
I'm going to take it in a different direction and talk about Delta Force Hawk Ops.
Ooh, okay.
And I learned this during the Behind Closed Doors event at Summer Game Fest. Once again, really grateful to have the opportunity to talk to the devs extensively. I was there for an hour. And the other people I was in the hands-on with were all from the same outlet. So they were all like in the corner and
playing together.
So I basically had a one-on-one with the dev. And that was pretty great because I get to ask like a bajillion questions. So unbeknownst to me, so again, I learned this recently, Delta Force is like a 25-year-long franchise and has this really dedicated audience, a lot of players in China, and they've been known for like really deep weaponry, really huge environments, think, battlefield-sized gameplay maps, in a dynamic world where, you can play with a lot of verticality and lots of different lanes for taking over points on a map if you're doing this tactical shooter genre. So this is a free-to-play game. This is a quote unquote return to their classic series. And Hawk Ops is this update where you can do an extraction shooter version of this gameplay loop that they have. So we've all seen extraction shooters. It's kind of a hot button genre right now, but you organize your stash before you go in. You pull from whatever you have collected or purchased, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. And you organize it like a Tarkov or sort of like a Resident Evil inventory where you're puzzling everything out to make sure you can fit as much as possible. The menu does a really great job of pointing you in the right direction of what you should add. So if you have low ammo, it'll tell you like, hey, ammo type X, you need to add more. Or if you have 0 grenades, be like, hey, I want to add a grenade in here. And it's really nice because as a beginner or somebody who is a little distracted, or you're just trying it for the first time, it'll really, really guide you through that process. So that's really wonderful because it's a very overwhelming amount of gears and customization available. The actual weapons, think of it sort of like Warzone or what we've seen recently with Call of Duty. Like each and every weapon part has maybe like 20 or so different options for customization. So it gets really, really deep on how you customize your weapon, and it will impact, the time to aim down sights, your handling and maneuverability time, how accurate your targeting is, how your weapon sway will be when you're running or if you're trying to hip fire. Like everything is impacted. You have different levels of bullets, so they organize them a little bit more streamlined, where you have low, medium, high, and extra high impact value for the bullets. So they're not quite as deep customization there, but besides the gear, which of course it's an extraction shooter, that's what people are interested in getting more and more of, there is this additional piece and it's called the auction house. So we've heard of auction houses in games, and we talked about the headline, the banana game, where people are selling these rare drops for up to $1,000 in Steam. The auction house is where you sell loot that you've extracted with or purchase loot that other people have up for sale. And you could also sell your loot, anything you don't want or don't need or just want to get the cash value of. You can sell it straight to the store. So you don't always have to set an auction. You have two options for your custom auction timer, 12 or 24 hours. And it looks like a pretty typical in-game economy where, people will be like, hey, I need a better SMG. I can't find one. It's been 4 rounds. Let me just buy one from the auction house. So you spend however many of your currency to buy it. Here's where it gets a little odd to me. There's this high-value loot box that you can go in and extract called a mandel brick. And the mandel brick, it looks kind of like a little sarcophagus almost. That is the one type of loot box that you cannot open until you extract. So if you have it on you, it paints a target on the map that everybody else can see. So again, extraction shooter. I'm using that as a shorthand, but you're in teams of 3. A bunch of different teams are in this environment at the same time, trying to extract as much loot as they can by killing NPCs, grabbing loot boxes, looting the NPC bodies, or getting key cards to different vaults. And this mandel brick is one of the things that you can find. I don't know how many are in each map every time people load in, but it paints a target on your back. Everybody in the map can see it. Everyone starts trying to come for you. You got to extract as soon as you can when you find a mandel brick. Like, that's basically a timer. Like, you got a mandel brick in your party, everybody's like, okay, we got to get the hell out of here. So that instant sort of countdown is really exciting because it speeds up the pace of the typical extraction shooter, which kind of feels a little bit sloggy sometimes. If you're not finding a lot of loot, you're like, oh, let's try one more room, let's try one more base, and it speeds that up. But here's where it gets a little odd, is that mandel brick essentially sets the top level item price in the auction house because it's the most rare thing you can find, and it has incredible loot in it, and you have to extract in order to open it. So people will stack up unopened mandel bricks in their inventory and just wait to sell them off, and they can set almost any price they want and people will buy it. And it starts to get a little odd in this in-game economy. It gets odd, and there's definitely no way to exploit it in-game with real money, but you can obviously see how, hey, if you Venmo me, blah, 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 I'll give you 5 mandel bricks. Like, you can see how that might start to become manipulated, and I don't know if it would completely break the auction house. So it's something to keep an eye on. The game itself is fun. They call it hazard operations, and I unfortunately did not get to play too much of this mode because we did a lot of the, your typical capture the flag sort of style. But I like the pacing. I like the gunplay. I think the customization is really deep and interesting. This franchise is obviously very, very long lasting, so they know what they're doing. They have a really, really, really dedicated fan base, but this auction house stuff looks crazy manipulative to me. and I can see where it can maybe go sideways if people, start to play around with it and use it for real life gain. So
do you think it could get to a point where if you've never opened a mandel brick, I like the way you say that, by the way, it just
mandel
does
brick.
Does something to me, that you just will not succeed in a round because you won't have the loot from that? Could it get to that point? It
could, and you can easily run out of loot. Like, if you die when you're out in the world raiding, you lose everything that was on your character. So you don't lose the character stats itself, but all the ammo, all the guns you had, everything is gone.
Oh no! So if you buy a mandel brick and you die, it's basically okay, well, that was for nothing.
Yeah.
Oh no, yep. That makes me want to rage just thinking about it. Oh.
High risk, high reward. Yeah, and it appeals to a certain type of extraction shooter player and people who like to squat up and do raid type operations. And it's a nice mix of PvE and PvP. But yeah, it looks like it could get
intense.
It could get heated. So it was an interesting demo, and I could tell that the developers are like, yeah, the mandel brick. Everyone's going wild for the mandel brick. And I was like, oh, no. That could get turned sideways.
Maybe not in a good way.
Interesting.
We'll see. We'll see when it hits. When it hits in apparently July. It's not far off. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But it was an interesting conversation for sure. They were excited to see what the world economy does with it.
Well,
Not to be a Debbie Downer, but we've all seen what happens when you give people too much power with stuff.
they are assholes about it. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen here. We saw so many very cool shooters at Summer Game Fest and in and around Summer Game Fest and all of the announcements and things happening, one of which I'm going to talk about next week. Another embargo. A lot of rolling embargoes coming out of SGF.
Oh, yeah.
But a game that we didn't actually get hands-on with that I was hoping we were going to get hands-on with was Exoborn. And that game seems very much our jam. It's another extraction shooter from Level Infinite, Tencent's in-house publishing team. And I was just like, I want to play this. It looks super cool. It reminded me a little bit if you cross The Division and Just Cause together. You kind of get this really wild, shooter with all of these natural elements kind of in the mix, like storm elements, like this weird tornado thing that's happening. And I kind of left going, well, I have a lot of questions and I didn't get a lot of answers from that demo, unfortunately. So I'd rather not cover it on the show, but know that we did see it and we want to see more and then hopefully can talk more about it at a future date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pew-pews.
Pew-pews.
More pew-pews.
More pew-pews.
More grabbing stuff and calling it a chopper.
Exactly. That's right. Get to the chopper. But until then, we have our chopper in Helldivers, so we got that. All right, everybody. I think that's going to wrap it up unless somebody else had another little tidbit of a game they want to talk about.
I'll do a quick one for Hyper Light Breaker because I know a lot of people are excited for that game, and there's really not much to say. If you liked Hyper Light Drifter, this was RPG top-down pixel art from 2016. Same developer, Heart Machine. They're back at it again with the 3D version, and it's exactly what you want. Like it's running different raids or going around getting keys to find mini bosses and upgrade your weapon and your player outfit. It's more great stuff. And you can do this with co-op now, which is very exciting. And if you like a roguelike with lots of style, it's beautiful. The music is freaking hype. Like it's just, it's a must play for anybody who likes this type of genre game. And there's not much else to say about it, really.
I'm
just
excited
go play
to try it out because I think it has co-op, unless you mentioned that, and I just
it does.
Full campaign co-op.
Yeah,
Full campaign co-op. Yep.
Hell yeah.
It's fantastic. like absolutely will play this game. Very excited. Hopefully I can play with some friends, but you can also play alone. And just go play it.
Yeah.
Just go play
no,
it. She
no
says.
notes. No notes.
first,
Go play it when it comes out.
Game of Summer Game Fest, and again, I don't have too much to say about it, but it was Path of Exile 2. This game is going into early access at the end of this year on console and PC, and I liked the first one. Didn't play too much of it, but I played enough that when I saw this, ooh, I want to play that. And I could have honestly sat the entire weekend and just played this the whole time. I played as the Worry because of course I did. But what I really liked about it was how the game controlled. It just feels much more like you're not just moving with a stick and you're pushing A and you're randomly attacking stuff. There's a dodge, there's a guard. It's almost twin stick in the sense that you use the right stick to aim in which way you want to go. Customization, abilities, the whole 9 yards, the tone of it. It's old school ARPG, and it was just really, really fun to play, and I'm really excited for this one. So whenever this does come out, I'm going to be all over this because I love Diablo, obviously loved it to pieces, but I feel like this one might have the potential to, in terms of gameplay, overtake it. Yeah, and it has couch co-op too, which the last one didn't. So very excited about Path of Exile 2, and I want it. I want it in my
They announced the early access release, right? Didn't they? Or is it currently in early access?
I think it's going into early access end of this year, I think is what I got from it.
Yeah, it says early access in 2024. Big air quotes.
Oh, it just looks real good, y'all. Oh,
but it's coming to console, so maybe I can actually play.
yes.
Hey.
Hooray for me. And not that I'm incapable of playing on PC, but y'all know I just don't. I just don't.
Doesn't happen.
All right, everybody. We'll have more for you next week. So hopefully you have fun weekend plans. Like I said in the ad, to touch some grass or get some sun on your face. Or maybe just sleeping. That's okay
Sleep.
too. Sleep is
Yes.
sleep is good. To all you parents out there, we see you not sleeping and we feel you. It's okay. You're going to get through this. We're going to get through it, everybody.
We will. We will.
Amazing. Can't end the show without a burp from Brittany. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.